I had just turned 22, and for the first time in my life, I was living on my own. The independence was exciting but also challenging. My apartment was almost empty, and I needed to furnish it with the little money I had. That's when I decided to give Craigslist a shot, a site known for its bargains but also for its risks. I knew I had to be careful, but the idea of finding a cheap, good-condition couch was too tempting to pass up. A month ago, while scrolling through the listings, I came across one that seemed perfect. The couch was leather, brown, and looked to be in excellent condition from the photos. The price was incredibly low, just $150. The seller, however, insisted that contact be made exclusively through email. His email address was mexicanpoppy6660@hotmail.com. I thought the email was a bit odd, but I decided to take the chance. After all, I was desperate for a couch. I sent a message asking about availability, and to my surprise, he replied within 5 minutes. He accepted my offer and then asked for my address so he could deliver the couch personally. That made me uncomfortable. The idea of a stranger knowing where I lived was unsettling. I suggested instead that I could come to his place to pick it up. He insisted multiple times on coming to me, which only made me more suspicious. I decided to stop responding, thinking it was better not to get involved any further. The next day, he sent another message, this time providing his address. I was torn. On one hand, the couch seemed like a great deal. On the other, something felt off. I decided to take the risk, since the address showed he lived relatively close, about a 20-minute drive away. I grabbed my keys, told a friend where I was going, and headed out. When I arrived, I noticed the house was smaller and more run down than the others on the street. It was an old building with peeling paint and an overgrown yard. I rang the doorbell, and a middle-aged man wearing a baseball cap and a baggy t-shirt answered. He gave me a wide, almost exaggerated smile and invited me inside. Immediately, I felt a deep sense of unease. The air was filled with the smell of mold and something else I couldn't quite place. He led me to the living room where the couch was. To my disappointment, it was covered in scratches and small tears, nothing like the photos in the listing. I pointed out the discrepancy, and he just smiled, offering a $50 discount. I decided I wasn't interested and started to leave. That's when things got scary. As I walked toward the door, he put his hand on my shoulder and suggested he'd give me the couch for free if I was willing to give something in return. A chill ran down my spine. I let out a horrified scream and bolted to my car. I didn't look back. I just got out of there as fast as I could, but the story didn't end there. That same night, I was lying in bed watching TV when I heard a noise coming from the balcony. I muted the TV and could clearly hear someone fiddling with the front door handle. My heart raced. I jumped out of bed and looked through the peephole, but whoever it was had already left. Then I heard the gate to the backyard open and close. I grabbed my phone and called the police. Moments later, I heard someone trying the back door handle. I shouted that the police were on their way, and after that, I heard the gate open and close again. They were gone. That was a month ago, and nothing has happened since. But I still can't sleep well at night. I'm almost certain it was the man selling the couch. He must have followed me home. There's no way it was just a coincidence. I've sworn off Craigslist for good, and I'm still trying to find a new place to live. The whole experience left me deeply shaken and much more cautious about meeting people online. I've always been a devoted father, and when my son turned 18, I wanted to give him something he really wanted: a car. He'd been dreaming of a Toyota Camry, a reliable, long-lasting vehicle. However, my budget was tight, and the prices on traditional car-selling sites were way out of my league. That's when I decided to give Craigslist a shot, where the deal seemed more affordable. After days of searching, I found a listing that seemed perfect: a 2003 Toyota Camry with only 67,000 miles, no accidents, no damage, and in good condition, for just $3,500. It was an incredibly low price for a car with such low mileage. The seller, who introduced himself as Bob, seemed friendly over the phone. He assured me the car was in great shape and that I could come see it any time. We agreed to meet on a Saturday afternoon. Bob said he lived in a house about 10 miles outside of town. He gave me the address and asked me to call when I was close. On the day of the meeting, I grabbed the cash, about $3,500 in bills, and headed out with a mix of excitement and caution. I wasn't naive. I knew Craigslist could be risky, but the opportunity seemed too good to pass up. I arrived about 15 minutes early. Bob's property was a small wooden house with a large, somewhat overgrown yard. The garage was open, and I could see various car parts scattered on the ground. However, the Toyota Camry was nowhere in sight. The only vehicle on the property was an old, rusted pickup truck with flat tires. I went to the front door to double-check the house number. It was the right address. The doorbell button was missing, so I knocked. I knocked for a solid 5 minutes, but no one answered. I decided to call Bob. I dialed his number and heard a cell phone ringing from inside the house. I was completely confused. I knew I was in the right place, but I couldn't understand why, if he was home, he wasn't answering. I decided to peek through one of the windows. Looking through the glass, I couldn't see much because it was so dark inside. I could make out some old furniture in the dining room, but on the other side, I saw someone standing by the back door looking outside. I figured it must be Bob. I tapped on the window, but he didn't move. There was no gate or anything blocking the backyard. It was just an open space. Since it wasn't a rural area, I simply walked around the house to the backyard. When I reached the back door, I was hit with a shocking realization. The figure standing near the door was a stuffed human figure. It was a hyper-realistic statue dressed in clothes with a face that was disturbingly detailed. My heart raced and a chill ran down my spine. I bolted straight back the way I came and ran to my car. I glanced up one last time before driving off. The blinds on the window I had peeked through were now closed, but I could see two of the slits slightly open. Someone was in that window watching me. You can probably guess. I hit the gas and didn't let up until I was home. The whole situation still doesn't make sense. All the car parts, the fact that there was no Toyota Camry, the stuffed human figure, the absence of any car. It all leads me to believe that whoever that man was, he wasn't planning to sell me anything. And it also leads me to the disturbing thought that I was dangerously close to becoming a lifeless statue, staring out from that man's back door. Since then, I've never used Craigslist again. The experience left me deeply shaken, and I still wonder what would have happened if I had waited any longer on that property. It was a grim reminder that sometimes deals that seem too good to be true are exactly that, a trap. About a year ago, I was in need of a new phone. My old iPhone was acting up and I wanted something more modern. I decided to look on Craigslist, where I found a listing for an iPhone 5 for just $200. The seller, who introduced himself as Jake, said the phone was in perfect condition and that he was looking to upgrade to an iPhone 5C. I didn't know much about testing phones, so I asked my younger brother, who's practically a tech expert, for help. He agreed to come with me and help check if the iPhone was really in good shape. We arranged to meet Jake in the parking lot of a Dunkin' Donuts, a public place that seemed safe. The meeting was set for 10 p.m., which already made me a little uneasy, but Jake insisted it was the only time he was available. We arrived a few minutes early and waited in the car. Shortly after, a black Honda Civic parked next to us. Two big, intimidating guys got out of the car. One of them, who I assumed was Jake, was holding the iPhone in his hand. He walked over and greeted us with a smile that felt forced. My brother took the phone and started inspecting it. It really didn't have a single scratch. He took the SIM card out of my old phone and put it into the iPhone 5. He ran a few tests, made a call to his own number, sent a text, and checked the internet connection. Everything seemed to work perfectly. However, when it came time to pay, Jake changed his mind. He said the price was $250, not $200, as we'd agreed. I was surprised and a little annoyed, but considering the phone was in good condition, I decided to negotiate. My brother, though, noticed something off about their behavior. He whispered to me that the guys were acting suspiciously and suggested we leave. We decided to pay the $200 and get out of there quickly. Jake seemed unhappy but didn't do anything to stop us. We got in the car and drove off immediately. On the way back, my brother told me he'd noticed something strange about the iPhone. He said it seemed like the phone had been recently reset, which could mean it was stolen. A few days later, we found out the phone was, in fact, stolen. When I tried to activate it with my carrier, I was told the phone's IME was blocked. Fortunately, we were able to sort things out with the carrier, but the experience left me much more cautious about online purchases, especially on Craigslist. The lesson I learned is that no matter how tempting a deal might seem, it's always important to double-check everything and, if possible, bring someone with you to ensure your safety. Plus, meeting in public places during safe hours is essential to avoid risky situations. Since then, I've avoided buying used electronics, especially from unreliable sources. The experience showed me that sometimes a deal that seems too good to be true can end up costing you more than you bargained for, and that safety should always come first.